Hi, it's Mike with AskTractorMike.com. Got a viewer letter today I'm going to read and answer and let the fireworks begin, because this is a pretty politically charged subject, but I'm going to try to keep politics out of it. The letter comes from Craig, and Craig says, "Hi Mike, do you have any details regarding John Deere's move to Mexico?" Oh, Craig, well, John Deere is not moving to Mexico. They have gotten some really bad press for moving some U.S. jobs to Mexico. Let's start with how I feel about John Deere. Those of you that follow my channel know I'm not the world's biggest John Deere fan. I started my career in the farm equipment business with AGCO Corporation, who is a sworn enemy to John Deere. I fought them for 10 years with AGCO. Moved from that job to managing a New Holland and Coyote dealership that was right down the road from the John Deere dealership, and we fought every day over deals. So there's never been any love lost between Tractor Mike and John Deere. And I didn't grow up with John Deere. I didn't drink the green Kool-Aid. I'm not a Deere fan. Now, do I respect them? Absolutely. They are the leader in the market. It's well-deserved. They run a tight ship, and they know what they're doing. And they are really, really hard to compete with. I can tell you personally that they are. So they are getting bad publicity right now. I hate to say this, but I almost kind of feel sorry for them. So why is John Deere moving some jobs to Mexico, and what's going on? Well, I'm going to talk about 5 things today that we could really get into arguments about because they're kind of politically charged, but I'm going to try to tell you the things I'm pretty sure are going on. They're facts, and then you can make your own judgment about how they fit together in the puzzle. And I'm going to try to keep this above board and out of the political swamp that exists out there. The first thing that's happening, and this has been happening since the dawn of capitalism, is that people want products built in their home country. We want USA-built tractors, but when it comes to paying for them, there's a segment of the population that will not pay the premium price that they have to command. Most of the better tractors I've ever sold have come from the U.S. or Europe. I've sold some really good tractors over my career that were built in one of those areas. But there is a segment of the market that absolutely will not pay the premium, and that's what every equipment dealership goes through all the time. Most of the time at an equipment dealership, they've got a premium product that is built in a country that builds really good stuff, and then they've got a product from a third world country. And most of the time, the volume is greater for the third world country tractor or product. So that's number one. The question you got to ask is, are you willing to pay for US made? And it's going to cost more because we build good quality products by and large. The second point I want to make today is that we found out during COVID that our supply chain was vulnerable in a big way. And what happened during COVID that was really scary to a lot of people, we had just-in-time production where the products came from all over the world to assemble a tractor or a car or whatever. And all of a sudden there weren't shipping containers to supply the parts because all the shipping containers were building masks in China to ship to the populated areas. And so that screwed everything up, and all of a sudden anybody that manufactures anything is saying, I've got to find a better way, get the pieces and parts together so I can deliver product to the market. And in the tractor world, we had acres of tractors that are ready to deliver that can't get seats or can't get tires or whatever little piece or part. During COVID, you couldn't deliver it. There was a huge demand out there for the product, but because one component or more was missing, you couldn't deliver it. And a tractor without a seat doesn't do you much good. So we found out our supply chain is vulnerable. So improvements in the supply chain need to be made, and possibly some stuff needs to be built closer to where it's consumed. The third thing I'll tell you is we have a shortage of labor in the U.S. All right? Can we all agree on that? If you go into a restaurant or you go into a Lowe's or Home Depot, everybody's got help wanted signs up. Your local farm equipment dealer's got help wanted signs up. Now, we could get into politics and argue about why that is. And a certain segment of you say that's because the next generation won't work. Okay, you're entitled to that belief. but the simple numbers say there's fewer of them. The boomer generation was huge, the generation that I'm a part of, and we're old and getting to retirement age or retired. The generation coming on behind us, there's a lot fewer of them. Now, a lot of you say they won't work, but we kind of told them that. We told our kids as they were growing up, hey, get a college degree, get a good job managing something, or in a tech area or something. So we've spit out all these college educated kids, and the number of college jobs is not absorbing all of them. We've quit encouraging kids to go to trade schools and learn how to service heating and air conditioning units or work on tractors. And so there's a shortage of those people to fill those jobs. It's kind of upside down from where it used to be when I was a kid. So we've got fewer people, we've got more of one type than we need, and fewer of another type than we need. So we've got a labor shortage. Now, John Deere can move some production to Mexico to take the pressure off of that. And most of those workers will get absorbed, that lost their jobs will get absorbed in the community. May not have as good a paying jobs, but that may not be as bad as it would have been when I was a kid. So that's number three. We have a shortage of people, and we have some of them maybe overeducated for what the demand for the job is. The fourth point I'll make is that this is a problem in a lot of areas, and the big area it's a problem in is China. China actually had a program that accelerated this. Their one-child program, where they encouraged all their people to only have one child. The Chinese government felt like they had too many people, and they were worried about that, so they encouraged their people to quit having children. Well, now they're in the same place we are, only worse. Their big baby boomer generation is aging out and retiring, and they've got this big infrastructure built to supply goods and services to the world, and nobody coming along to take those jobs, and they can't fix that. So the fourth point I'll make is, we've got a labor problem, but China's got a worse labor problem. And from everything I read, they're going to cease to be a player in the global commerce market, or at least as big a player as they were. So that's ending. And the fifth thing I'll tell you is John Deere is getting all the bad publicity about moving some jobs to Mexico. And we hate to lose American jobs. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying this is a good thing. But AGCO's doing it. CNH is looking at doing it. Deere's doing it. Industrial Bobcat's built a new factory in Mexico because Mexico has a big pool of available labor. They're right next to us, which has a huge demand. And you take care of a lot of problems when you have production in Mexico. If you can build a lot of the stuff in Mexico, the supply chain disruption becomes less of a deal, the labor becomes less of a deal, and transportation, everything becomes less of a deal. And so that's what's going on in the market. And I think most of us can agree on those five things. So John Deere's getting the bad publicity about moving to Mexico, but everybody is looking at it. And I'm always an eternal optimist about things, and capitalism, eventually lots of good things happen when it's allowed to work right. Having those jobs in Mexico, to me, if there's a factory in China, half a world away, there's less accountability to produce a quality product. In Mexico, a lot of the factories aren't that far over the border, and they'll have a lot of folks from the U.S. that are demanding quality control overseeing the operation there. And so we're probably going to see, over time, a really decent product come from Mexico once they get the workers trained and all of that. And what kind of made this happen too, and I'll just throw this out there, you can look it up, is the last trade agreement that we signed with Mexico and Canada, and it was in 2018, and we agreed that the American companies could move some jobs to Mexico as long as they had a floor minimum wage in Mexico where they weren't paying people peanuts. And if what I'm reading is right in that agreement, that number's $18 an hour. That's kind of like the minimum wage for a Mexican job to produce it and send it to the U.S. without a tariff on it. And so $18 an hour is lower than what we pay in the U.S., and there's differences in their health insurance costs there. But still, they're not being paid peanuts. They're not being paid, sweatshop kind of wages to build stuff to come to the U.S. And a lot of you hate immigration and illegal immigrants, and maybe this will solve a part of that problem too. So if it takes pressure off our not having enough people to fill the jobs, and it provides products that can be sold in this country that are quality products, maybe not as good as what we would build here, but close. It gets the production of a lot of these things away from China, who doesn't necessarily like us. And it enables us to maybe solve some of this immigration mess and help Mexico become a better supplier. Then maybe we all win. You're going to argue with me. I can feel it. Some of you are seething. Well, put it in the comments down below. But that's what's going on, and all companies are doing it right now. They're trying to find a way to build a product that's acceptable to the North American market, closer to a home, and find available labor to build it. That's all that's going on. There's not a big conspiracy. I appreciate you watching my videos. Hey, I'd be honored if you would subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking the mic face icon. Make sure you check that bell so you're notified when I post future videos. Here's a link to my website and the Tractor Fund Store with cool things for sale for the tractor owner that helps support my channel. And here's another couple of videos you might want to watch. Thanks for watching.